Hello, from Ballinamallard, where we are talking to Jemma and William. And Jemma would like to share her story of what it's like being a mum in Fermanagh and having a baby here at the minute. So, Jemma,
So,
what happened to you?
William was born in July 2020, and I went into spontaneous labour at a routine appointment.
Yeah.
And 18 hours later, the labour still hadn't progressed, so I got an epidural, and the doctor, the obstetrician and the midwife started having a bit of an argument, because every time I pushed, his heart rate would dip and would just send the monitors crazy. And then the midwives thought that I would have been able to continue on naturally, but the consultant said no, she needed to go for an emergency section. So they had a bit of a tiffle for a while. And he said that he could feel the cord around its neck, so we were rushed down to theatre, and they said that they had 5 minutes to get him out. And so then the next day, after he was born, the consultant who did the surgery came in and said that I only had a couple of centimetres of cord to play with, because it was wrapped around him head to toe. So if we continued on naturally, he wouldn't be here, he would be dead. And that only for the emergency section, that's what saved his life. So that's the story. Yeah.
So what do you think about the idea of not having, the obstetricians are saying now that they can't operate without emergency surgery backup, they wouldn't be able to do emergency sections. What would it have been if you'd have been, if they, at the moment the suggestion sending you to Galvin, when you really need, emergency surgery. The emergency surgery is going to be in Galvin. So as a mum in Fermanagh, I think you were saying that you were passing out at times as well.
Yeah, so I was on a heart trace while I was in labour, because I was randomly passing out during the pregnancy. So, but they couldn't figure out what was wrong. So, for me to think of, after 18 hours of being in labour and nothing happening, then for them to tell me that I would have to go 2 hours up the road in an ambulance is ridiculous. For anybody, for any reason to be doing that, it's terrible. Because he wouldn't be here if I had to do that. Because they told me, they said they had 5-10 minutes max to get him out.
Yeah.
So 10 minutes, I wouldn't even have been in Ballinamallard, going up the road to Galvin. So we'd have been organising a funeral instead of celebrating a birth, So I just think that it's terrible. It's a bit scary, for any potential, anybody that's planning to get pregnant or that is pregnant, it's ridiculous. And to have, you're already anxious about it. So, but that's added stress that you don't need. On top of everything else,
So what do you think of this situation that we're in at the minute? With no government, in Northern Ireland, when they're making these decisions, like they're saying they're closing Ward 3 now on the 3rd of December. They're saying they're not making a decision. Because they're not allowed to make decisions. But they're saying they're taking actions to close Ward 3, and then that's going to have knock-on effects, on surgery. And they're saying that it's going to be it's sort of an elective centre. The chief executive of the trust says Swall would make a great place just for planned surgery. Where they sort of visit, they're recruiting the 4 surgeons that we need. They're recruiting them into Galvin. So I think that Swall would be good for just for planned surgery. So what does that sound like to you?
I think it's an easy way out for them to not have to take the blame, to not have to answer to anybody's questions or anybody's letters, or that's going against it. I think it's just easy for them to say, well, we weren't in government at the time, and it's scary for us because there's nobody there to back you up, and there's nobody there to stand up for all the women that are pregnant in the area, so there's nobody to turn to.
Yeah.
So it probably, for me, I would sit back and say nothing if I was pregnant, because you don't know who to go to.
Yeah.
And you don't know what to do. Only for you, only for your page, was the only reason that we even considered talking out about it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll do our best to get your voices heard. Yeah.
Thank you.
And William, it's good to see you. You're a lucky wee man. Very sleepy boy. Yeah. Hey, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.